Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to this session on how to utilize trends. Today we're really going to look at the difference between trend, an actual trend, and something that is trending, and how you can utilize digital trends to grow your business, to grow visibility of your brand, to acquire more customers, and also how you can develop a trend strategy for your business. Sorry. Okay, sorry, I'm very bad at this. So my name's Sarah McCorkdale. I am founder and CEO of a business called Cork, and we are an influencer and digital trends intelligence platform. So essentially, we combine data from the social media platforms with journalistic analysis of what's actually happening on social media. So what are consumers engaging with? We help our clients sort of cut out the noise. My name is Sarah McCorkdale. I have been a journalist since about 2005. I spent the first 15 years of my career working for The Times, The Guardian, the BBC. And I'm author of the award-winning book, Influence, How Social Media Influencers Are Shaping Our Digital Future. The reason that I started Cork is because I thought, there's so many businesses that want to utilize social media and influencers, but actually there's a lot of commentary and not necessarily a lot of robust analysis around it. And I thought, I really want to help businesses make this as successful as they can for them. Cork is used by a lot of different brands. So we came to market with our products in 2019, and now our analysis is used by Sky, the BBC, Estee Lauder companies, businesses, media companies, and agencies across the board. Okay, so let's get started. So why should you follow trends? Now, I think we're in this age where, trends sort of feel like they're applicable to everyone. One of my jobs when I was a journalist, I worked for a global trend forecasting agency called WGSN. And the people who cared about trends at those businesses at that time, it was the people who worked in design. It was the people who maybe headed up brand. It wasn't necessarily, we didn't have this ecosystem of social media managers, influencer managers, creative managers across the board. Whereas, ever since Instagram and TikTok, it feels like now we are just surrounded by trends, and we have new ones emerging every single day. And as businesses, I think that we can use these trends to accelerate our revenue growth, make more people aware of us, and actually, if we can utilize them properly, you can become a global brand much more quicker than, for example, if you were just saying none of this applies to me. So I think that one of the reasons to follow trends and insert your brand and your product into trends is that you can expand the visibility of your brand and product. Now, obviously, with social media, my primary interest is influencers. And, if an influencer talks about your product, say on TikTok, and that video goes viral, or they have a particularly engaged audience, all of a sudden your product can be in front of millions of consumers. And if you're a small business, that can have a profoundly transformative impact on your growth and also the potential of what you can achieve. So I think that expansive visibility is just so exciting. Increasing brand awareness in customers, I think that sometimes we kind of think about, okay, well, we want people to buy a certain product that we make, or we want people to understand what we do. But I think that idea of brand awareness doesn't necessarily have to come from brand channels. It can come through, it can come through influencers. It can come through you hopping on some kind of content format where, you do something quite funny and people find the video, and the next thing they're on your social platforms and they're like, oh wow, this is a technology brand, they're really cool. So I think that this idea of increasing brand awareness, often we want this to be a linear journey. We want people to see what our brand is, understand what they do, and then buy it. But actually, if we go down the trend strategy route, we have to be part of an existing story and help people discover us that way. I think that if you can insert yourself into a trend, perhaps a bigger trend, which is having a more long-term impact on the digital landscape, then you're positioning yourself for long-term relevancy because you are showing people how your product and your brand is utilized by consumers in the every single day in a way that consumers want to see it. And then I think, for me, like the thing that obviously is the most important reason to consider utilizing trends is that it allows you to align successfully with your target customer. Now, I think like obviously when we are online, we're using social media, we're trying to target people. The past era of digital, a lot of us have done that through Facebook. And obviously the thing is now, Facebook is becoming so expensive. And I think like there are various problems with that platform that probably all of us in this room have experienced. So I think that Trends gives us this other opportunity to speak to the consumer in a way that's wrapped up in a story that consumers are interested and entertained by, and that gives you a very positive sort of like advertising environment. Okay, so for me, TikTok changed everything when it comes to how we define a trend. Like before TikTok, I would say a trend was something which maybe bubbled up for about 3 months and then was visible in the landscape, whether it was digital or retail, maybe for like a year or 2 years after that. That was really my understanding of a trend. But because TikTok moves so quickly and it has impacted retail so much, it has impacted, what consumers care about so much, we're in this age of, when we talk about trends, sometimes we mean it's something that's trending. And that is a moment. That is not a long-term shift. And for you as a business, you have to sort of realize, that there is a difference between, capitalizing on something that's trending and inserting your product into a long-term trend, which is more of a shift. So, and there are benefits of both. Like, I'm not anti anything. I'm very open minded when it comes to trends and social media and business growth and how we get there. So, when it comes to trending, things that have been trending, like I guess this year are nose makeup, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is people doing mad makeup on their nose and lots of consumers engaging with it and saying this looks fantastic. And it's all this kind of Gen Z thing of people just wanting to be creative and wanting to express themselves on social media, achieve cut through, they want to do something different. But obviously, that trend or that sort of trending moment was very, very brief. And brands that were able to hop on it did a good job and they got more visibility. But actually, that is not a long-term shift. That's not something that we're going to see. It's not something that we're really seeing so much now, never mind in 6 months' time. Jiggle Jiggle by Louis Theroux. That was a trending moment. And I think like that's the thing, like we have spoken to clients who've kind of said, oh, like we really want to do like a kind of like jiggle jiggle thing. And it's like, no, that moment's past now. We have to move on. And I think that's the difference between things that are trending and an actual trend. It moves on so quickly. So if you saw something last week or 2 weeks ago that was like a moment on TikTok, if you jump on it now, it's actually not going to look that great for your brand. You have to be there in the moment, very spontaneous. Another thing that was trending this summer was chopped sandwiches, which was sandwiches chopped into teeny tiny little pieces like baby food. And people just absolutely loving it. Again, that is dying down right now, and it kind of looked awful. But, there were brands who capitalized on that, who made quick videos with it, who briefed influencers and said, okay, can you hop on the chopped sandwich trend, insert my product into it? And, those brands got more visibility. The benefit of hopping on a trending moment is obviously you have this potential of going viral. You have this potential of your video being picked up by the algorithm and being served to millions of people. And then all of a sudden, so many people are learning about your brand, and that drives awareness and potential customer acquisition, which would cost an absolute fortune on any other platform if you were doing it like via paid, for example. The trends where I would say it's more of a trend, it's a shift that we see happening right now, are in content formats. And that's where if you're a brand where you're thinking, well, actually, I can't move fast on my content. I am not going to be a brand that hops on viral trends. I don't have the resource in-house. I don't necessarily have the talent in-house. I'm a very busy person. I can't do it myself. If you can't jump on those trending moments, you really want to look more at the long-term shifts and how you can utilize those to position your product. So the bigger long-term shift we have seen over the past year is in different content formats. Most prominently is the Get Ready With Me content format, where influencers and some brands basically, they talk directly to the camera to create a video, and they tell a story while they're putting on their makeup or they're putting on their clothes, getting ready, and the products are sort of in the background. So maybe, for example, if it's a beauty brand, they're putting on their lipstick, but actually they are talking about, a date they went on last night. And there have been brands that have gone absolutely insane through this content format because all of their followers are like, tell me what the lipstick is, tell me what the lipstick is. And as a result, rather than the influencer trying to sell the product, they are showing them this is how good this is. So it's all about the show rather than the tell. And I would say personally, I think that is a much more effective form of influencer marketing. Then there's also routine content. Now, this has replaced a previously very popular content format known as the haul, where basically, like before we were in this age where we are so aware of overconsumption and the impact of that on the climate and how our own consumer behaviors have a wider impact. In the early days of YouTube and Instagram, the haul was kind of like, this very powerful content format where an influencer would order loads of clothes or makeup or accessories from a brand, and then they would try them all on in a video. Whereas now we're seeing that format die out, and that has been replaced by routine content, where the influencer says, this is my morning routine, this is my bedtime routine, this is my holiday with the kids routine, where basically they're showing you what they do as habitual behavior every single day, and they are inserting products into that. And this is very positive for brands because actually this positions brands and products as solutions rather than, I suppose, I've just bought all of this stuff and I don't care about the impact and I don't really care about the stuff either. It's actually saying this brand and this product is a solution for me every day. It helps me get through my day every day. So, that I think for businesses, no matter what your business is, that is a very positive format, a very positive trend to jump on. And then on top of that, short form audio. Now, this obviously started with podcasts. I think I saw like a meme or something and it was like, nobody needs another 2-hour podcast. And I think that's probably true. And as a result, we have seen a lot of really prominent podcasters. They are now creating, episodes where they're 5 to 7 minutes. So they're just like some bite-sized information. And all of this is off the back of the rise of voice notes and the fact that people are engaging with each other more in a sort of like, in a more casual sense using audio. So all of these things, if you're a business, you're thinking about trends, you're thinking about your marketing, these 3 things I think are really valuable and worth jumping on. Okay, I hope this all makes sense. I'm so immersed in it sometimes, So I think if you want to build a trend strategy, and I do think that if you are thinking about how you accelerate your growth, how you use social medias, perhaps how you use influencers, even just how you create like your own content. And I think like that is something that brands and businesses should really think about. You don't have to go through content creators. Like if you've got the time and the imagination and like the inclination, like get on there and just do it because like you've got nothing to lose. It's an opportunity. So, 4-part trend strategy. I would say you want to create content that responds to trending TikTok moments. So if you're really thinking, I want to accelerate things in the next 6 months, the best way that you can do this is go on TikTok, look at what's trending every day, and make your own version of it. Now, I understand. I personally, the idea of getting up and making a video every single day, I think it's intimidating. I think that you think, oh my God, how could I possibly fit that into my day? But actually, the good thing about TikTok is content which is not high production value performs better. So the more kind of off the cuff and spontaneous it is, generally the better it performs. So if you can do something like this every day or a few times a week, you are giving yourself that opportunity to go viral. Then also you can work with creators who have adopted a specific format, so you make sure you're coming up in that format all the time. So for example, if you were a form of technology that helped entrepreneurs organize their business, sort of like a project management, for example, you could work with entrepreneurs on TikTok or on Instagram, and you could be part of their morning routine video, and they could show how they're using your technology to make sure that their day runs right. And I think that's the thing, often when we think about social media and content formats, we think, oh, well, that's for fashion and beauty and all the lifestyle brands. But actually, there are so many creators now. There's finance creators, there's entrepreneurs, there's, people giving advice on God, everything. So I think no matter what your product is, if you want to jump on these things, there is a creator who will help you get on this opportunity. I think as well you can reinterpret trend and formats to directly reference your industry. There was this thing that went viral earlier this year, and it was it was on TikTok. And it was one of the guys from Stranger Things, and it was a video of him snapping his fingers, and the sort of the footage behind him changed. And a dentistry brand used this. Basically, they put him on this video, and it was of a semi-detached house. And the caption was, "A dentist when he sees a semi-detached house up for sale." And and it went viral. It had 6 million views in 24 hours. And all of a sudden, this brand was this cult dentistry brand on TikTok. So, if you've got someone in the company or you yourself, you're just that would be funny, you should just go for it, because people do enjoy that. And then I think also, I was talking to my team yesterday, and I was saying what do you think is the best way to see a trend coming up? And they just said you have to look at maybe 50 influencers who you think, okay, my brand, my target customer is represented by those influencers. And you have to watch what they are doing every day. Look at the new things they're doing. Look at the views they're getting. Look at the engagement they're getting. And see the things that are starting to really change or come up. And that's how you know that there's a trend emerging that your target consumer is going to align with. And I think that's really true, because we're in this fragmented media landscape where something that might, a trend that might align with I don't know, a Gen Z chef and that kind of Gen Z foodie community, it is not going to align with your 40 plus woman who is running her career and has a very busy personal and professional life. So you really have to think about ecosystems and the ecosystem that you want your brand to be part of. And then just the last slide, I think that if you're a business and you want to utilize trends, you want to have a trend strategy, you want to accelerate your growth in this way, you really need to think about the infrastructure that needs to exist for you to do this. So the thing that always strangles people jumping on trends is the inability to just create content. I think I've consulted for many brands and worked at many places. And, if someone has to go through an 8-stage sign-off process, you're never going to jump on a trend. You're never going to get on that trend and moment. And actually, sometimes it's best to be honest with yourself if that's the case, and just say, we can't do trending moments because we've got our sign-off process, and that is never going to change. I think also you have to accept that results are varied, particularly if you are doing the content yourself, because I think sometimes when we don't get the engagement that we really want and we've put in tons of effort, we're oh, it's not worth it. There's no point in me doing this. I feel really stupid. No one's seeing my content. And the thing is, you've got to keep the faith. And I know that's hard, I've worked in digital for so long. And yeah, that's the hardest thing to do, is to keep the faith. But then when you get your moment, you realize the thing that creates digital growth in the long run is consistency. So you have to get through that first 6 months. It's rough, it's hard, it's really hard. But you can do it if you want to. I think as well, ensure your content has a route to buy for the customer or a call to action for the customer, especially if you're jumping on a trending moment, where you want to get visibility in front of millions of people or thousands of people. Do not let that content go out without telling the customer how they find you or what you want them to do. They have to have a route back to you so that you can potentially acquire them as a customer. So don't forget about that. I've seen that so many times, brands put out something, a piece of content, and it does really, really well, but it doesn't have a discount code on it or some kind of incentivization or call to action for the customer. Really think about, you want the customer to take action, so make the most of the opportunity. and also allow your brand to be subtle. It's like the thing I said at the start about, like people where, they're telling a story and, the brand, they're using the brand, they're showing you how effective it is rather than telling you about the brand. You don't have to, you don't have to be like right in front of people saying, my brand is this and this is what we do and this is how much it costs. Like, allow things to be a bit more casual, allow them to be relaxed. Sometimes that will get you better results. That's it. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Thank you. Hello. Hi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Hi. So what you said is that when it comes to trends, a brand needs to like be on the platform, like following influencers that they think would be their target market influencers. But like how would you, because I work with small businesses, how would you streamline that for someone that has like a one-man band in marketing, because like they have to do email, they have to do social media, and they can't really stay on the platform like scrolling. What would you suggest on like leveraging trends for like one-man band marketing?
I mean, I would say like that's where you really want to like focus on like maybe 25 creators who are representative of the target market, see what they're doing, and perhaps you just replicate what they're doing, which is having the biggest impact, rather than necessarily like scrolling to finding what's trending every day. I mean, like Cork does a daily email where like we tell our customers every single morning what's trending, and we show them examples of the highest performing content from the past 24 hours. But if you don't have that, I think it is really deciding, like which creators are important to you, which brands, for example, are your competitors, and then saying, okay, what are they doing that's really successful? How can I replicate that? And making that your priority. But also, just one last thing, like things like email, like see if you can do those in advance, and then do your more spontaneous content day to day. Sort of like do as much in advance as you can, where it's not reliant on like capturing a moment. I think that's a good idea as well. Sorry.
That was pretty much my question too. So, thank you.
Okay.
Hi. So we've tried to adopt trends on many occasions, and I feel like they're really well suited if you've got a product. But I work for a destination, so I'm wondering how you might consider that within trends.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it can be lots of different things. Like is it like a holiday destination?
It's Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park, so it's an area in London that you would go to on the weekend.
Okay. So I think in that situation, potentially, I don't know if you work with creators or anything like that, but I think it's almost creating like getting creators to come and produce content there, like in situ, and maybe you say to them, like if it's a dance that's gone viral, or like there's a trend in soundbite or something like that. It's just basically having the destination as the backdrop. I think as well, like the routine content, I think like that could be fantastic, especially maybe like during like maybe like weekend routine content with families, or like half-term routine, like maybe it's like, oh, like we got up this morning and every holiday we always come to this park, and this is what we did. I got my coffee. It's like I think like that type of content could just be so brilliant for that.
Cool, thank you.
Okay.
First of all, thank you. Really enjoyed that. Just on trends, I think that's an interesting topic. When I think about trends, I think about, it's really good for that engagement and getting as much people towards what it is that you're promoting. The flip side of trends on TikTok particularly is that, when you associate yourself with trends too often, you then lose who you are, or what it is that you're representing, whether it's your brand, your company. And there's this sort of like point where you can kind of become inauthentic, and we know that with TikTok, that's what it thrives on, authenticity. So my question is, how do you find that balance between jumping on trends and jumping on the right trends, but also holding on to the authenticity of what it is that you are trying to stand for or promote as a business?
That's a really good question, and I totally agree. So I think that you have to really like supplement any trend content with the more candid content. Like you have to do those videos talking to camera where you're just like having a chat. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is what like overall, if we look at like, you know, the things that perform perennially on TikTok, it's like someone talking to camera, telling you a story, telling about their day. You know, like for example, if you're a business, I think like the best thing that maybe like a small business can do, and I'm a total hypocrite because I don't do this, but it's like, you know, get on camera and say, oh, like today was really hard, like I had to do this, I had to do that. And also it's sharing the good moments as well. So like saying, oh, we got more orders than ever today, loads of people signed up, this is what happened, this is how I'm going to celebrate. But then I think as well, it's just like, that's when like if you're telling like this kind of like bigger story, then when you jump on a trend, it's kind of like, oh, that's quite delightful. Do you know what I mean? It's like this like surprising thing. So I think that it's like about, when it comes to brand channels, just like not doing every trend. It's got to be something that feels like a wee bonus, you know? Yeah. Done. Okay. All right, well, thank you so much for coming, everyone. I hope it was helpful.